Chapter 1. The New Keeper. You are 35 years old. After years of searching for steady work, you finally receive an unusual job offer. Become the keeper of a remote lighthouse. Most people refuse the position. The island is isolated. The weather is dangerous. The work is lonely. But you accept immediately. Days later, a small supply boat carries you across the sea. The lighthouse grows larger with every passing minute. Standing before the tower for the first time, you feel both excitement and fear. This place will become your home. Your duties begin immediately. Every evening, ships depend on your light. Every night, sailors trust you with their lives. The work seems simple. Clean the lens, maintain the machinery, watch the sea, keep the light burning. But the ocean quickly teaches a lesson. Nothing here is ever truly simple. One evening, powerful winds begin shaking the tower. Rain crashes against the windows. Waves strike the cliffs below. Far out at sea, a ship struggles against the storm. Its crew desperately searches for your light. You check the lamp again, then again, then again. Failure is not an option tonight. Hour after hour, the lighthouse continues shining. The beam cuts through rain and darkness. By sunrise, the storm finally passes. The ship survives. The crew reaches safety. Standing atop the tower, you finally understand your purpose. You are not simply maintaining a building. You are guiding people home. Every night, sailors search for your light. Every storm tests your courage. Every sunrise reminds you why the lighthouse matters. Chapter 2. The Endless Isolation. Several months have passed. Since your arrival, the lighthouse has become your entire world. Every morning begins the same way. Wake up, check the weather, inspect the tower, watch the sea. Life follows a routine that never changes. At first, the quiet felt peaceful. No crowds, no traffic, no noise. Just the sound of waves, just the sound of wind, just the endless ocean surrounding you. But as the weeks pass, something changes. The silence begins to feel different, heavier, longer, lonelier. Days pass without seeing another person. Supply boats only arrive once, every few weeks. Sometimes storms delay them, sometimes they never come at all. Whatever supplies you have must last. To stay busy, you maintain everything, every bolt, every window, every stair, every machine. If something breaks, there is nobody else to fix it. One afternoon, thick fog rolls across the ocean. Within minutes, the entire island disappears. The sea vanishes. The horizon vanishes. Even nearby rocks cannot be seen. Somewhere beyond the fog, ships continue sailing. They cannot see the cliffs. They cannot see the rocks. They cannot see the coastline. They can only see your light. That night, a foghorn echoes across the water. Then another. Then another. Ships are searching for safe passage, and your lighthouse becomes their guide. Hours later, the fog finally begins to lift. Large cargo ships emerge from the mist, one by one, safe, undamaged, guided home by the lighthouse. The next morning, a supply boat finally arrives. For the first time in weeks, you speak to another person. The conversation is short, but it feels important. Isolation changes the value of simple things. As the boat disappears into the distance, the island becomes quiet. Once again, the loneliness returns. But so does the purpose. Because tonight, ships will need your light once more. You climb the lighthouse stairs, check the machinery, clean the lens, light the beacon. The routine begins again, just as it always does. Standing beside the lantern room, you watch darkness cover the sea. Somewhere beyond the horizon, sailors are searching for your light, and once again, you will help guide them safely home. Chapter 3. The Great Storm. For nearly a year, the lighthouse has stood strong. Storms have come and gone. Ships have arrived and departed. The routine has never changed, but tonight feels different. The sea looks angry. The wind feels stronger. Something is coming. By afternoon, the sky turns black. Birds disappear. Fishing boats rush toward you. Harbor, even experienced sailors know what is approaching. Storm unlike any seen this year. You begin emergency. Preparations. Fuel reserves are checked. Windows are. Secure. Equipment is inspected. The lighthouse must survive the night. Failure is not an option. By sunset, the storm arrives. The first wave crashes against the cliffs, then another, then another. The entire tower begins to shake. Rain slams against the glass. Wind screams through the darkness. Thunder shakes the island. The ocean has become a monster. Suddenly, the lighthouse flickers. Once, twice. Then darkness. The beacon goes out. Your heart stops. Somewhere beyond the storm, ships are searching for your light. Without it, they are blind. You race down the spiral stairs. Water leaks through cracks. The wind shakes the tower. Every second matters. In the engine room, you find the problem. Storm damage. The power system has failed. The lighthouse is running out of time. Working by lantern light, you begin repairs. The room shakes constantly. Tools fall. Pipes rattle. But you keep working. Minutes feel like hours. Then, suddenly, the machinery starts again. The beacon returns. The light shines into the darkness once more. Far away, sailors finally see the light. Relief spreads across the ships. They know the lighthouse is still standing. By morning, the storm finally ends. The island is damaged. The lighthouse is battered, but it survived, and so did every ship guided by its light. Looking at the sunrise, you realize something. A lighthouse is more than stone and glass. It is hope. It is safety. It is the difference between life and death. And tonight, it fulfilled its purpose once again. Chapter 4. The Shipwreck. Several months have passed since the great storm. The lighthouse stands strong once again. Repairs have been completed. Supplies have arrived. Life has returned to normal. Or so it seems, because tonight, a new danger approaches, one far more personal than any storm. Thick fog covers the sea. The horizon disappears. Completely, ships can barely see a few 100 feet ahead. Even the lighthouse beam struggles to cut through the mist. Around midnight, something unusual catches your attention. A distant foghorn, then another, then another. The sound feels wrong, urgent, desperate. You grab your binoculars. Through the fog, a shadow appears, a large cargo ship, far too close to the rocks. Your heart begins racing. The captain cannot see the coastline. He cannot see the cliffs. He cannot see the danger directly ahead. You immediately activate every warning signal available. The foghorn blasts. Emergency lights flash. The lighthouse beam sweeps across the ocean. But the ship continues moving. Then it happens. A terrible sound echoes through the darkness, metal scraping against rock. The ship has struck the reef. Crew members rush across the deck. Alarms begin sounding. Pretty. Vessel starts taking on water. Panic spreads. Quickly, without hesitation, you contact the mainland. Rescue teams are alerted. Lifeboats are dispatched, but help is hours away. The crew needs assistance. Now, you gather emergency equipment. Ropes. Blankets. Medical. Supplies. Lanterns. If survivors reach the island, they will need help. Hours pass. The damaged ship struggles to stay afloat. Then rescue boats finally appear through the fog. Their lights shine like stars in the darkness. One by one, crew members are evacuated, exhausted, cold, frightened, but alive. The lighthouse has once again guided people to safety. As dawn arrives, the fog finally lifts. The damaged vessel sits stranded on the reef. Rescue crews continue working. Every crew member survives. Watching the sunrise, you feel relief. The storm months ago tested the lighthouse. Tonight tested you, because keeping a lighthouse is not only about maintaining a light, it is about protecting lives. Somewhere beyond the horizon, more ships are sailing, more storms are forming, more challenges are coming, and as long as the lighthouse stands, You will be there to guide them home. Chapter 5. The Lonely Years. Nearly 10 years have passed since the shipwreck. The lighthouse still stands. The beacon still shines. The ocean still roars against the cliffs. Yet something feels different. The world beyond the horizon is changing, and for the first time, change worries you. Modern technology is transforming navigation. Ships now carry advanced equipment. Radio systems. Radar satellite positioning. Captains no longer depend entirely on lighthouses. Many can navigate without ever seeing your light. At first, you ignore the changes. The lighthouse still matters. Ships still pass. Sailors still wave. Life continues as usual. But year after year, fewer vessels appear. Supply boats visit less frequently. Government inspectors arrive more often. They ask unusual questions: maintenance costs, staffing expenses, future operations. Questions that make you uncomfortable. One afternoon, an official letter arrives. You open it slowly. The words hit harder than any storm. The lighthouse may be automated in the future. A machine could replace the keeper. For a long time, you sit in silence, looking out at the sea, thinking about everything the lighthouse has survived. Storms, shipwrecks, decades of service. Could it really end like this? Days become weeks, weeks become months. Yet every evening you continue your duties, cleaning the lens, checking the machinery, lighting the beacon, as if nothing has changed. One foggy night, a small fishing boat appears. Its navigation equipment has failed. The crew becomes disoriented, lost among the rocks. Once again they search for your light. The lighthouse beam cuts through the darkness. The fishermen spot it immediately. Minutes later, they safely reach harbor. Another disaster avoided. Another reminder that some things still matter. The next day, the fishermen visit the island. They thank you personally. One of them says something you will never forget. Machines can show directions, but people create trust. That evening you think about those words. Perhaps the lighthouse is more than technology, more than machinery, more than navigation. It represents safety, reliability, human dedication. Years continue passing. The lighthouse remains active, but uncertainty grows. Nobody knows how much longer it will remain staffed. Nobody knows what the future holds, including you. As darkness falls, the beacon shines across the water once again. Just as it has for decades, ships still see it, sailors still trust it, and tonight, that is enough. The world may be changing, technology may be advancing, but the ocean remains the same, storms remain the same. And somewhere out there, someone still needs your light. Chapter 6. The Final Rescue. 7 more years have passed. The world continues changing. Satellites guide ships across oceans. Computers calculate routes instantly. Modern navigation systems have become incredibly advanced. Many people now believe lighthouse keepers are no longer necessary. Many believe machines can do everything. Tonight, they are about to be tested. Weather forecasts predict severe conditions, strong winds, heavy rain, dangerous waves. Most ships alter their routes. Most captains avoid the area, but not every vessel receives the warning in time. As night falls, the storm arrives. Dark clouds cover the sky. Rain crashes against the tower. Waves explode against the cliffs below. The ocean once again becomes violent, familiar, dangerous, unforgiving. Around midnight, an emergency radio transmission breaks through the static. A cargo ship is in trouble. Its navigation systems have failed. Radar is offline. Satellite communication is lost. The crew cannot determine their exact position. Panic begins spreading aboard the vessel. The captain's voice sounds desperate. He reports strong currents, poor visibility, equipment failure, and one terrifying possibility: they may be drifting toward the rocks surrounding your island. Immediately, you begin calculating their position, using weather conditions. wave direction, wind speed, years of experience. Skills developed over decades, things no computer can perfectly replicate. The situation becomes clear. The ship is heading directly toward a dangerous reef. If nothing changes, impact is inevitable. Hundreds of lives could be at risk. Time is running out. You contact the ship immediately, calmly, clearly, confidently. The captain follows your instructions. Course corrections begin. Engines increase power. The crew fights to regain control. Minutes pass. Then more minutes. Every second feels longer than the last. The vessel struggles against wind and waves. The ocean refuses to cooperate. Nature rarely does. Then suddenly, the ship responds, slowly at first, then more noticeably, its heading changes. The reef begins falling behind. Disaster starts moving further away. Hours later, rescue vessels arrive. The cargo ship survives. Every crew member survives. The storm eventually passes. Another tragedy has been avoided. Another reminder of why the lighthouse still matters. News of the rescue spreads quickly. Newspapers publish the story. Maritime officials investigate the incident. One conclusion becomes impossible to ignore. Technology failed. Human experience succeeded. Visitors begin arriving. Reporters, sailors, historians, young students. Everyone wants to hear the story. Everyone wants to meet the keeper who saved a ship during the storm. Yet you never claim to be a hero. Because you know the truth. You simply did your job. The same job you have performed for decades. Protecting lives, guiding ships, keeping the light burning. The world may continue changing. New technology may continue arriving. But tonight proves something important. Machines can assist people. But experience still matters. Judgment still matters. And sometimes, one lighthouse keeper can make all the difference. Chapter 7. The Last Keeper. 2 years have passed since the Great Rescue. The lighthouse still stands. The beacon still shines. Ships still pass by the island. But deep down, you know something is coming. The future has been approaching for years. And now, it has finally arrived. One quiet morning, a government boat arrives. Officials step onto the dock. Their expressions are serious. They carry folders and documents. You already know why they are here. The decision is final. The lighthouse will be automated. New technology will control the beacon. Computers will monitor the systems. Remote operators will oversee maintenance. A keeper will no longer be required. You expected this day, yet hearing the words still hurts. For decades, this lighthouse has been your home, your responsibility, your purpose. Now, that chapter is ending. Installation crews arrive weeks later. New equipment is delivered. Modern control systems replace older machinery. Sensors are installed. Computers are connected. The future is taking shape before your eyes. Every day, the lighthouse becomes less dependent on human hands. Tasks that once required experience now happen automatically. The changes are impressive, efficient, reliable. Yet something feels missing. One evening, you climb the tower alone. The same spiral staircase, the same lantern room, the same view of the ocean. You have made this climb thousands of times, but tonight feels different. Standing beside the great lens, memories return. The first storm, the shipwreck, the rescues, the lonely nights, the fog, the endless ocean. A lifetime of memories inside one tower. Outside, the sun begins to set. Golden light covers the sea. Waves crash gently against the cliffs. For a moment, everything feels exactly the same, just as it did decades ago. Then comes your final duty. One last inspection. One last equipment check. One last climb. One last beacon lighting. A routine repeated thousands of times. Now performed for the last time. As darkness falls, the light shines across the ocean. Bright, steady, beautiful. Exactly as it always has. Ships continue their journeys. Sailors continue searching for guidance. The lighthouse continues doing its job. The next morning arrives quietly. No storms, no emergencies, no rescues, just a calm sunrise. The perfect ending. Before leaving, you place your hand against the stone wall, the same wall that protected you during storms, the same wall that stood beside you for decades. It feels like saying goodbye to an old friend. You walk toward the waiting boat, slowly, quietly, looking back one final time. The lighthouse stands tall behind you, strong, proud, unchanging. The boat pulls away from the island. The lighthouse becomes smaller and smaller, yet the light remains visible, shining across the water, just as it always has, even without a keeper. And as you watch it disappear into the distance, you realize something. The lighthouse was never your legacy. The lives you protected were. Chapter 8. The Legacy of the Light. 10 years have passed since you left the lighthouse. The world has changed once. Again, technology has advanced. New generations have grown up. The ocean remains the same. The cliffs remain the same. And somewhere beyond the horizon, the lighthouse still stands. You have not seen it in years. One morning, a letter arrives. It comes from the Maritime Heritage Society. Inside is an invitation. The lighthouse is celebrating its anniversary. Visitors from across the country will attend, and they want the last keeper to return. You stare at the letter for several minutes. Memories immediately. Return, storms, rescues, foggy nights, endless staircases. The light, always the light. A few days later, you board a boat. The journey feels familiar. Decades ago, a similar boat brought you to the island. Back then, you were beginning a chapter. Today, you are revisiting one. As the lighthouse appears on the horizon, your heart begins racing. It looks exactly the same. Strong, proud, unmoved by time. The sight brings an unexpected smile to your face. When you arrive, dozens of visitors are waiting. Families, historians, sailors, students. Many recognize you immediately. Some have traveled hundreds of miles to meet. One young boy approaches. He cannot be older than 12. He asks if you are really the keeper who saved ships during storms. You laugh softly, then nod. The boy's eyes grow wide with amazement. Throughout the day, people ask questions. They want stories, memories, lessons. You spend hours sharing experiences, and for the first time, you realize how much those experiences matter to others. Later, museum staff show you a special exhibit. Old photographs, newspaper, articles. Rescue reports personal belongings. Your entire career has become part of Lighthouse history. Then you see something unexpected. A wall covered with letters, hundreds of letters, messages from sailors, families, and visitors, people whose lives were touched by the lighthouse. Many mention your name. Some letters thank you. Others describe rescues. Some simply express admiration. Reading them feels overwhelming. You never realized how many lives had been affected. You never realize how far the light had reached. As evening approaches, a ceremony begins. Community leaders speak. Historians speak. Sailors speak. Then they ask you to come forward. The crowd applauds. For several moments, nobody stops clapping. Looking at the crowd, you see something remarkable. Children inspired by history, sailors inspired by service, families inspired by dedication. The lighthouse inspired them, but so did the keeper. As the sun begins setting, the lighthouse activates automatically. The great beacon shines across the ocean, just as it did decades ago. For a moment, everything feels familiar again. Standing beside the lighthouse one final time, you finally understand your legacy. It was never the tower, it was never the machinery, it was never the beacon. Your legacy was the people you inspired, the lives you protected, and the stories that will continue long after you are gone. Chapter 9. The Light Never Dies. Many years have passed since your return to the lighthouse. Life has become quieter, slower, simpler. Yet some mornings, you still wake up expecting to hear the ocean outside the tower. Some habits never disappear. Some memories never fade. The lighthouse remains. Active visitors continue arriving. Historians continue telling its story. Children continue learning about its past. And every evening, the beacon still shines across the sea, exactly as it always has. One day, a young maritime student visits your home. She is researching lighthouse history. She has heard stories about the last keeper. She wants to learn more. She wants to understand what the job was really like. You spend hours answering questions about storms, about rescues, about loneliness, about responsibility, about purpose. The student listens, carefully, writing down every word. Eventually, she asks one final question. What was the most important part of being a lighthouse keeper? You think quietly, looking toward the ocean, searching through decades of memories. Then you answer, the light. The student looks confused. She assumes she means the beacon, but that is not what you mean. You explain, the beacon guided ships, but hope guided people. The light was never just a machine. It was a promise that someone was watching, a promise that someone cared. The student writes every word because she understands something important. This story was never about a building. It was never about technology. It was about people helping people across generations. Months later, the student publishes her research. The story reaches thousands of readers. More visitors begin arriving. More people learn about the lighthouse. More people learn about its keeper. One evening, you return to the coastline, standing on a familiar cliff, looking across familiar waters. The lighthouse stands on the horizon, small in the distance, yet impossible to forget. As darkness approaches, the beacon activates, the same light, the same purpose, the same promise. Decades have passed, yet the mission remains unchanged. Guide others safely home. Looking at the light, you remember every chapter, the first day, the storms, the shipwreck, the rescues, the loneliness, the goodbye. Every moment feels connected. Every moment feels meaningful. For years, you believed you were protecting the lighthouse, but now you realize the truth. The lighthouse was protecting something. Too, your purpose, your identity, your place in the world. The ocean continues moving. Ships continue sailing. New generations continue. Growing keepers come and go, sailors come and go. Even entire generations come and go. But some things endure. The light endures through storms, through fog, through change, through time. And as long as someone needs guidance, as long as someone searches for hope, as long as someone looks toward the horizon, the light will never die. You were a lighthouse. Keeper, you guided ships, you protected lives, you kept the light alive, and long after your watch ended, the light continued shining.